Thomas Mace-Archer-Mills is founder and president of the British Monarchist Society and also editor of the Crown and Country magazine. Thomas, hello.
Yes, hello. Good afternoon.
Absolute pleasure to speak to you, sir, and I'm hoping you'll make things a little bit clearer for us. What do you make of the Sussexes stepping back from their duties?
Well, to be honest with you, the two of them are going to be the death of me. I'll tell you that much over the last fortnight. However, there's a lot of anger out there and a lot of also misunderstanding, which gives to the rise of that anger. But the gentleman caller you had before hits a good point. You want your cake and eat it too, and it's not going to happen. But where we look at the Crown is on its own terms, not the terms of individual members of the monarchy, which is a byproduct of the Crown itself. So for Harry and Meghan wanting to say we want to be independent of funds, we want to do monarchy on our own time in our own way, that doesn't work for the Crown. And the Crown has very quickly said, this is what's going to happen. Go about your own way, but it's not going to be with titles. It's not going to be with anything you've been accustomed to. And I think that definitely trading on Sussex Royal and using your royal connection, if you will, I think is just in terribly bad taste. I mean, we saw Edward VIII and Wallace try to do the same thing, and unfortunately, it didn't work for them, and it's certainly not going to work for Harry and Meghan now. So that's pretty much what we're looking at as far as such a fast-moving story, is that people aren't understanding really what has happened, what the terms were, and why Harry and Meghan even decided they didn't want to be full-time members of the royal family or stay full-time in the United Kingdom, where, of course, they get more perks, more money, more anything than any of us could ever dream of.
I'm wondering if even Harry and Meghan understand, Thomas, because there seems to be some conflicts, not just between media reports, but things we're hearing Buckingham Palace and Harry and Meghan say.
Well, and this is the problem right there, because Harry and Meghan don't understand. Harry has not needed a lot of convincing or pushing to leave the family firm. We know when he was a soldier, if he could have done that the rest of his life without having to be involved with the royal family, he would have done so. So the problem is that Harry is celebrity by way of being royal first, and there's a fine line between being royal and being celebrity. And then Meghan comes along, and all she's known as being a celebrity, and she thinks that that life is going to continue, even though the meanings behind the title are 100% different than what celebrity is. And I think it's been very hard to make both of those realizations work in the real world of monarchy.
It's kind of felt this story has come from nowhere because there's been a media explosion the last couple of weeks since the story came to light. But this must have been going on for a couple of months because, of course, they didn't spend Christmas with the royal family, did they, Harry and Meghan?
No, this has been brewing for a long time. And, of course, we saw this all the way back in 2012 with the very much slimline royal family on the balcony appearance for the Queen's Diamond Jubilee. But one thing people are forgetting is that the Queen's Christmas broadcast is filmed weeks and weeks before Christmas. And Harry and Meghan did not have a photo at all on the desk of the Queen during her whole broadcast.
Oh, yeah.
So there were things that were leading up to this. It was the worst kept secret in the palace. And if the palace was a bit better with managing things the way they should be, it wouldn't have gotten out of hand and we wouldn't have been led to this crisis.
Lots of people have said that Harry and Meghan have been treated worse than Wills and Kate. Do you see that pattern?
No, this is completely different. William and Catherine, they are the crown. They are the future crown. Harry and Meghan were never going to be the crown itself. So, and Harry and Meghan have done something that no one has really dared to do since Edward and Wallace. But I want to look and ask the viewers here, let's look at the Queen's other grandchildren. Let's look at Peter and Zara Phillips. Let's look at the other grandchildren that hold full-time jobs, that don't trade on a royal title, that keep a very big distance between being a member of the royal family and actually carrying out private duties such as work.
Was this always going to happen, do you think, Thomas, when we heard that Harry was going to marry someone like Meghan Markle, who was an actress, no real royal connections or anything? I mean, it was an unprecedented thing, and it's just built and built, hasn't it?
Well, it has. And people said, oh, well, she'll never understand. She'll never try to give the effort. And I said, you know what? You need to give her a chance here. She hasn't had 7 years as people called Waity Katie and waiting to decide whether she was going to be with William or not. So I think people are being very unfair in comparing the two couples because they're very different couples destined for their very different things. But where Meghan and Harry are concerned, it's apparent that they had this big brand media already lined up. They're doing Disney this, and they've signed for this and that. And that's something that William and Catherine would never, ever have done at all. It is a blemish on the part of members of the monarchy. But let's look here, because they're saying that Meghan and Harry were forced out. Well, they weren't forced out. The Crown just didn't agree with the way they envisioned their portion of the monarchy. So that is the problem.
What is next? What do you think is going to happen next for the Sussexes then, Thomas?
Well, it's going to be very interesting to see. They've gone now to, well, she's gone to Canada. And I think until she actually becomes a British citizen with a British passport, she has to remain within one of the British realms, one of the dominions of where the Queen is Queen, and Harry still is a member of the family. So I think the waiting game for that to come through is going to be Canada. And once that comes through, I won't be surprised if they say, right, we are going to make the full move now to Los Angeles so she can continue to be with her friends, do her work, and have royalty on her terms.
Well, he's the man that knows everything because he is editor of Crown and Country magazine, and it's great to catch up. Thank you very much for your time,
Lovely.
Thomas.
Thank you for having me.